Astrology to me is like your genealogy in the stars. It's like being able to look at a DNA test of your time spent in space. And
Okay, so today's topic, we are going to be talking about astrology. We're going to be going in about just the definition of astrology, the planets, how it affects our personalities, zodiac signs, the signs that fall in and rule the planets, charts, all of these things. And it's not just going to be from me, it's going to be from people that I have learned from, talked with, discussed all about astrology, and who, for people who see astrology as a belief system, right? Astrology to me has so much meaning. We are more than just this human experience in this physical body, right? Like, we live on Earth, Mother Earth, right? And there's the sun, the moon, Jupiter, Venus, Mars, Uranus, like all of these different planets. And who's to say that we're the only things out here, right? Who's to say that we are the only source of power? Um, no one, no one ever, right? So we have to understand that we are the universe. We are all interconnected. We are all one, right? So why not look at the sun and the moon for answers? Why not look at the stars for understanding? And then we all have a uniquely designed chart based off of where we were born, what time, the day, what star was passing and transiting through what freaking sign. Like, there is so much in astrology, and I cannot give it to you all. But with the help of others, I am hoping that I can. So, the definition of astrology. Okay, so I'm getting this from a site called Awaken Intuition, and it has a lot of just quotes and information in regards to astrology. So I resonate with their definition a lot, and I want to share it with you. So they say that astrology is the study of the movements and relative positions of celestial objects as a means for divining information about human affairs and terrestrial events. Astrology has been dated to at least the second millennium BCE, and it has roots in calendrical systems used to predict seasonal shifts and to interpret celestial cycles as signs of divine communications. Many cultures have attached importance to astronomical events, and some, such as the Indians, Chinese, and Mayans, developed elaborate systems for predicting terrestrial events from celestial observations. Right? Right. Western astrology, one of the oldest astrological systems still in use, by the way, can trace its roots to the 19th through 17th century BCE Mesopotamia. There we go. From which it spread to ancient Greece, Rome, the Arab world, and eventually Central and Western Europe, right? Contemporary Western astrology is often associated with systems of horoscopes that purport to explain aspects of persons' personality and predict significant events in their lives based on the positions, sorry, y'all, I cannot talk, of celestial objects. The majority of professional astrologers rely on such systems. Who would have thought? Right? So, technically speaking, there's so much that we are relative to, right? As humans alone. People don't understand that a full moon, because we're about 80% made of water, yo, it's gonna affect our bodies. It's gonna affect our energy levels, right? Everything is energy. So why not at least entertain the idea that the stars and the planets really just have power. Why not entertain that? Exactly. Why not? A quote from Rachel Lang, astrologer and an author. She says that each planet represents an aspect of our personalities. And that is very, very much true. Let me tell you why. Okay, so before we get into the planets and how they resonate with our personalities, I am going to be going into some of the elements and the signs that fall in these elements, along with the qualities for the signs and the elements as well, because you're going to be hearing me talk about which signs are fixed signs or it's in water sign. And I want you to kind of be able to understand the qualities of these and how they all kind of coincide and they are very relative to one another. So let's get started. We're going to go into the four elements and which signs fall under the elements, and then also just kind of characteristics and traits that are associated with them. So for fire signs, we have Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. These signs are very spontaneous. They're very impulsive. They apply their energies wholeheartedly. So their emotional response is very quick. They have a lively imagination. They live in the masculine and positive energy. So they live in the yang, or people call it yang energy, right? They have a lot of pride. They're very passionate and they're courageous and brave. So those are the fire signs. Again, we have Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. Moving on to air, we have air signs. They can be in masculine energy. They have very yin energy as well, and they're positive. These are going to be Libras, Aquarius, and Gemini. These signs are quick and animated. They apply energies in very diverse ways. They have a tendency to intellectualize feelings and expectations rather than actually like feel them. So they intellectualize a lot. Again, they're very intellectual, they're sociable, and they're communicative. Again, these air signs are going to be Libra, they're going to be Aquarius, and Gemini. Moving on to water signs. These are the feeling types. They're very fluid and intuitive. We have Cancer, we have Scorpio, and we have Pisces. They're very sensitive, they're deep, and they're private, but they're also subjective. They have a huge imagination. Their emotional lives, again, are deep and rich. They live in the feminine yin energy. They can either be receptive or they have a negative charge on them. Overall, they are healers. Again, these are Cancers, Scorpio, and Pisces, water signs, right? Then we have the earth signs. These ones, they are very feminine. They are yin. They could be receptive or negative charge, depending again. We have our Capricorns, Virgos, and Taurus. So they react quietly and slowly. They apply themselves with endurance. So they're very filled with endurance and they're dependable. Emotionally, they're kind of deeply rooted and they're kind of slow to change. However, they are practical and they're reliable, right? Again, these are going to be Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo. Perfect. So enough with the four elements and the signs that resonate with them. Now we're going to go on to the qualities. So the qualities of these signs, they're very dependent, right? So how I like to look at it, I like to look at it as seasons. So we have the beginning of a season, throughout the season, and the end of a season, right? So for example, we are going to start with cardinal. We have cardinal signs, so they're going to be, again, the start of a new season. They have an urge to take the lead and shape things, right? They're initiators. They act according to their goals and what they're aiming towards. And so we have these in Aries, we have Libra, Cancer, and Capricorn. So again, the start of the season. So we have a cardinal fire sign, which is Aries. We have a cardinal Libra sign, not Libra sign. We have a cardinal air sign, which is Libra. We have a cardinal water sign, which is Cancer. And we have a cardinal earth sign, which is Capricorn. So if you think about it, Aries starts the spring, Cancer starts summer, Libra starts fall, and then Capricorn starts winter. So if you look at it that way, it kind of gives you a better understanding of how to view the cardinal signs and like how they are initiating a season and they're starting, right? They're the ones who are trendsetters, right? That's pretty cool. I'm a Cancer, so that means I'm a cardinal sign, which means I like to, I like to start new things and take charge a lot. But yeah, so now we're going to move on to the fixed signs. Fixed signs, they are, if you look again at seasons, they carry the weight of the season, right? So they have a desire to build on what's already there and to organize it in a more efficient way. They're very, very fixed. They don't like to change. They have also a great endurance too. But they prefer like a status quo, right? And they act in response to the given circumstances. They do not change. They will stick to what's already that's already there, right? Like I stated before. So we have the fixed signs again. We have a fixed Leo, which is a fixed fire sign. We have a fixed water sign, which is Scorpio. We have a fixed air sign, which is Aquarius, and we have a fixed a fixed earth sign, which is Taurus. Yes. So again, these are very slow and steady people. They are very stable and very focused, and they have great endurance. Next quality we're going to talk about is mutable signs. Mutable signs, they kind of end and wrap up the season, right? They tend to seek change and it's a sense of renewal, right? They can easily replace one thing with another and they can align their actions with just unfolding processes. Like they can just switch it on and off, right? They are the most flexible and they are the most adaptable to change. These mutable signs are going to be Sagittarius, Gemini, Pisces, and Virgo. So we have a mutable fire sign, which is Sagittarius. We have a mutable water sign, which is Pisces. We have a mutable air sign, which is Gemini. And then we have a mutable earth sign, which is Virgo. So yeah, just wanted to give you a quick little rundown about the elements and about the qualities of the signs and how they kind of intertwine with one another. All right, so the planets. Which better planet to start off with than a planet that's not a planet, but is a star? We're going to talk about the sun. Whew, the sun. Man, it's how you shine your light in the world and you illuminate your life and your sense of self, right? Your ego, your creativity, your most inner self, the core of a person. It's your assertion of, again, oneself, right? So it's all about who you are at your core, who you aspire to become, how you navigate in this world with your most truest self, right? And what better sign to be ruled by this planet, aka mostly a star, is Leo. So if everybody's experience with Leos are completely different, right? One thing that we can all agree on is that Leos love to be the center of attention. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all. The only thing that can, people get kind of about is that they can be very about themselves, right? They're like me, 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 me. However, just because they come off as egotistical doesn't mean that they're not generous people. It doesn't mean that they're only about glamour and the beauties and luxuries in life. They are natural born leaders, right? They take the role of a lion. A lion, they're very powerful. They stand strong. They have the crown on their head and courage in their hearts. They love deeply. They are true, intentional beings. They are a fixed fire sign. a fixed fire sign. So these two resonate completely with each other, right? So doesn't it just make sense? However, again, it all depends on your zodiac sign that falls into the planetary transit, right? So, for example, my sun is in Cancer. I'm a Cancer sun. And with the sun being very egotistical and very shine bright and assertion of self, right? And it's ruled by Leo, a fire sign. I'm a Cancer. I'm a water sign at my core, right? So those elements kind of, they can either create beautiful steam together or they can cancel each other out. So we'll go deeper into that. But yes, so the sun is associated with Leo, a fire sign. And it's beautiful. I think those two go hand in hand together. All right, enough about the sun. Let's move on to the moon. The moon is very mother energy. It's the planet of emotions. It reflects your inner world and your soul, right? And this is ruled by Cancer. So, qualities about the moon. It's about your inner self. You know, again, our emotions and our qualities, our adaptability of change. Adaptability. Lord Jesus. Anyways, it's about the imagination, the sense of rhythm. It's the unconscious mind, and it's in the feminine and intuition energy, right? So, the moon is about our habits, our instincts, and our behaviors, and it shows us how to like best nurture and nourish ourselves. Again, I said this is ruled by Cancer. So Cancer is a cardinal water sign, right? It's the crab. It's in the feminine and yin energy. Again, Cancers are the emotional type. They're very stubborn. They seek safety and closeness. They're very fluid. They're gentle, tenacious, protective, nurturing, and defensive. They're very family oriented. They're very family person, chosen family, and blood family as well. They have a very tough exterior. However, at the core, they are very soft and loving and gentle. They're emotionally intelligent and empathetic, and they are very generous as well. So, the moon being ruled by the Cancer, one and one, again, they're about your inner world, your emotions, how your inner world is, and how you go about feeling things, right? And depending on your chart and what falls under the moon for you, you're going to be able to identify how you go about your inner world, right? So, for example, again, my moon sign is in Gemini. So that's a mutable air sign. And with that being said, they are the twins, right? Without getting further into it, I just want you to understand that, like, it's not going to be the same because Cancer is the ruler of the moon, and my moon sign is Gemini. I have to work with the qualities of air, mutability, cardinal energy, and water signs all together collectively and how I move about it. And so, it being in Gemini, it's going to give you a more intellectualized way of my emotions and feelings. We'll talk about that later. So yeah, there we have the moon and how it's the ruler of the Cancer sign, and yeah, all the emotions, all the feels, how our inner world is. So it's very opposite of the sun energy, right? It's about going inward and focusing on what's internal as opposed to what's external. Yeah, I hope that makes sense. Okay, let's talk about Mercury. All right, so everybody's always talking about Mercury retrograde and blah, 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 blah. It's fucking me up. All this shit, right? So, Mercury is a planet of communication, and it's your intellectual mind. So, it is about reasoning. It's about common sense. It's about weighing and evaluating your spoken and written word, putting in order, right? Processing and learning skills. You, it's representation is your internal dialogue. And because it's like almost always the closest to the planet Earth, we are always going through a lot of things. So when they say Mercury is in retrograde, that means that we are going backwards. So when our communication is all fucked up and we don't know how to communicate, what to think, how to think, it's because we're going opposite of effective communication. Right? So I love this sign a lot. I'm a huge communicator. I am huge on intellectual conversations, right? And the reason is because Gemini and Virgo rule Mercury, and my Mercury actually falls in Gemini, so I'm purely aligned in this as well. So Gemini, we're gonna start off with Gemini before we get into Virgo. But again, Mercury is about how you analyze, process, and communicate information. It's about your routines, your practices, and your habits, right? So it being ruled by Gemini, Gemini is a mutable air sign. It rarely touches down, right? So they're the mental type. They're witty. They are very detached people. They are very fair-minded at the same time. They're the most adaptable air sign out there. They have a mental approach in life. They're the messenger of the gods, right? So they are the master communicators. They will rarely give you false information, like rarely, right? They live in the masculine and yang energy. So they're very, again, full force. They're adaptable. Their symbol is a twins, right? So they have a light, a dark, yin, yang, good, bad, happy, sad. Like they are twins. They have this good reciprocation in between the two, and that fuel each other. Going on to Virgo. Virgo's symbol is the Virgin, right? That's a mutable earth sign, and they're all about details. Virgos are very, very, very observant and precise. They know how to differentiate, and they do what is necessary. They are very, very, very detail oriented, which leaves them having like a critical point of view, right? They can be discriminating and perfectionist, and they can be sensitive to criticism. So, because of this, which is why they are the ruler of Mercury, right? Their communication, their mind, processing and learning. Virgo is really, really good at being able to analyze and communicate this kind of information, along with Gemini. These are very, very great signs to have in your chart, preferably in your Mercury. But if not, it's totally fine. Again, these are about routines, your daily practices at that, and the habits you kind of adapt growing up, and then also practicing on a day to day. Because these are in mutable signs, you're able to adapt and change it up as much as possible, as much as you want to, if I should say. Again, Mercury, really, really great sign about how you communicate. So if you want to know how efficient you can be with this person that you're talking to, for example, you want to ask them what their Mercury sign is and see how they communicate and what it does. Again, depending on what sign falls in this planet for you, it's going to make a huge difference. Mine is aligned with Gemini, so what you hear is what you're going to get from me. All right, that's enough about Mercury. Ooh, everybody's favorite planet. Let's talk about Venus. Let's talk about the planet of beauty and love. Um, all right, so Venus is obviously the planet of love, sense of beauty, the enjoyment of pleasures, and the sense of connection and attraction, relationships, self-worth as well. And it's about the love of harmony too, right? So obviously the signs that are going to rule this is definitely Libra. And we also have Taurus in here as well. So Libra is a cardinal air sign. It's in the masculine energy with the young. It is a very positively charged sign. So they seek balance and harmony and equality as well. They hover between the scales because their symbol is scales. So they have a symbol of justice, right? They're sociable, they're accommodating, they're very kind, and they can be really fair people. Again, they love beauty. They are all about peace and love, and that is definitely coinciding with Venus. And going on to Taurus. Tauruses are fixed earth signs and their symbol is a bull. They are in the feminine and yin energy, and they are also, they're receptive, charged, right? They are very sensual and pleasure seeking signs, which is why they are rulers or ruled by Venus. They strive for security as well. And they're dependable. They can be very stubborn, but they're very stable and sensual. Like I said, they're down to earth, right? Very, very down to earth. They can be a little possessive. So when it comes to obviously pleasure seeking and connection, they can get a little, possessive, but that's okay. It's usually all through love. Yes, and so for me, my Venus is in Leo, and we all know about Leo. They are very genuine and full thrown lovers, and they're a fire sign, right? They're fixed fire sign. So, me and Venus, and how I go about relationships and about passion, the things that I love, and what I love to do, I'm very courageous and very all in when it comes to it. So again, it's very important to know where your signs fall with these planets, because it's very much gonna help you in each aspect of this of your life, right? So Venus again, love. What is this song? What is it? I'm your Venus. I'm your fire, soul's desire. But yeah, so Venus, everybody's favorite freaking planet. But yeah, I hope you get to kind of understand where your Venus falls in your chart and how it works for you. I'm curious. Send me an update. Send me on where your Venus is. Let's get into Mars, the planet of action. Again, if you want to know someone's drive and how determined they are and their energy, you want to figure out what their Mars is. The qualities of Mars is it represents our determination and ultimately our sex drive as well. It's a collective's focus and a level of aggression or passion. Very fiery and very energetic. I love this planet. Very, very nice. And it's ruled by Aries. We all either love or hate Aries, right? They are a cardinal fire sign. So they are fire, already impulsive. They're already like sporadic, spontaneous, impulsive. And then they're cardinal. So they're trendsetters. They go full force. They start shit, right? Sometimes people will say they start some bullshit, but it's okay. They're very masculine, very in their young energy. They are very positively charged. So if you're a negatively charged person, obviously this positive charge, full force, full fire, full cardinal is gonna throw you the hell off, right? It's just, that's just how it is. But Aries, they are the ram, right? So they often they have a head-on approach about everything. They often rush into things a lot. They have a really good and very strong willpower. They're courageous. Again, they're leaders and pioneers. They're very active and independent, impatient, assertive, but very self-willed. And I love them. They are really great to have as friends, because if, say, you're not like a motivated person and you're just like, oh my God, like, I don't know how to start, where to start, what to do, get you a friend Aries, get you a friend Aries, and they will be like, hey, this is what you should do. Like, this is what I did. And it may not work for you. If you want to get out of your comfort zone, definitely talk to an Aries. They are very impulsive. Like they will try it, they will start it, and they will do it. And if they don't like it, they'll change course and go ahead and do another thing, right? My Mars is in Gemini. It's in an air sign, which is beautiful. It's great. So for me, I intellectualize all my, I figure it out. I have to like write it down. I have to communicate it. I have to talk about it. But I'm going to take action. But I also with that as well, because we're very like we're very witty. We like to change up a lot of things. When I take action, it kind of shifts as well. Like I'll shift how I want to do the action or how I want to go about it. My passions are always fleeting and always changing. And that's fine, you know. Do you know your Mars? You should figure it out. All right. Okay. Well, now we're going to go on to Jupiter. Boys go to Jupiter to get more stupider. That's false, right? Jupiter is the planet of expansion. What? Expansion. So, Jupiter is your strive for spiritual growth, the individual meaning and purpose of life, your optimism, your vision, your hope, the way you influence, how you're influenced. It's the philosophy of life, bro. So when they saying that stupid thing, like, no, don't say that. Jupiter is a really, 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 really great planet, right? It is ruled by Sagittarius, the archer. So these people are very free spirited. They're wanderlust, right? They're very carefree, cheerful, honest, independent, enthusiastic. They love, 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 love movement. So imagine having a Sagittarius expansion of your growth, of your life, your optimism. Like, it's beautiful. You guys are always in a pursuit of adventure and knowledge. You're very spontaneous. They can be irresponsible because they're like very free spirited and carefree, and they want to just like go everywhere and all at once. But it helps with your faiths and beliefs, right? Being able to kind of be free in spirit and kind of see what works for you. And you guys are truth seekers. You guys seek truth and honesty, right? So with that being with Jupiter, like that's going to be great for your spiritual growth, right? Making sure that it is true and honest, even if it's not to other people, if it's to you, right? But you guys prefer wholeheartedly and fully that it's like knowledgeable and very accurate, right? But yeah, I love me some Jupiter. Jupiter is amazing. My Jupiter is in Scorpio because it's an expansion planet. So it expands whatever sign that is in there. So, for example, again, my Jupiter sign is a Scorpio, which means I am more of a Scorpio than a Scorpio is, and the Scorpios are really in depth. We're going to talk about that later when we talk about the sign that it rules, the planet that it rules. I mean, but yes. So again, Sagittarius is a mutable fire sign. They are adaptable to change. They're very fiery and impulsive, right? And they have a really good sense of purpose and self. And it's a beautiful, beautiful planet and a beautiful sign that I'm glad that they coincide with one another again as well. All of these planets and signs, they coincide with each other. It just makes sense, right? Yeah. Saturn. Ooh, Saturn. Ooh, Saturn is the planet of structure. It's how you take responsibility and learn from your life's lessons. It's about the karmic return, the Saturn return, the experience of reality, the conscious and moral convictions, your discipline, the discovery of limitations, you know. Everybody talks about your Saturn return, your solar return, right? That's going back to like, so I think you experience, depending on your lifespan, you experience 2 to 3 Saturn returns, right? And your Saturn return, your first ones starts when you're between 27 to 30. Those are the years that you're going to have a time of reckoning where you have to like step up and take responsibility of your life, right? Be more disciplined, seeing what works. It's the most challenging part and aspect of your life. A lot of the times I've learned from a friend that they said that a lot of times you experience either like death or a huge loss, a huge like shift in life during this time. And it's honestly a great it's a great planet because we need those shifts, right? We need to be able to self reflect and understand our conscious decision making and take responsibility, like it's stated. The ruler of this planet is Capricorn. So Capricorn is a cardinal earth sign. They have a huge sense of purpose and they're very proud and ambitious. Their symbol is the goat, right? So they're disciplined, they're enduring, they are goal oriented, they're very responsible and constant, right? They are reliable and self reliant. Again, reliable and self reliant. Combining that with like your responsibility of life, this makes perfect sense as to why Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, right? Capricorn is a very parental figure. It's a paternal, very father like. The opposite sign of this one is Cancer, and Cancer is very maternal, right? Very mother sign of the zodiac signs. Capricorns have a desire of achievement, right? They are very resourceful, very reflective, very, very patient, and they have a wise personality. So it's beautiful how the Capricorns can align with structure and the experience of reality. Like if you want someone who is very grounded and very resourceful, you get yourself a Capricorn. Capricorns are really, really, really dope. My brother was a Capricorn, and us being opposite signs, we very maternal and paternal. So we're really great at being able to understand each other, and also kind of just have this like reflectiveness towards each other, right? And patience. So yeah, get yourself a Capricorn. My Saturn actually falls in Pisces. So with that, it just means that I kind of have like an imaginative and artistic spiritual process towards my Saturn return. So I'm really in my Saturn return right now. I am 29. So by the time I reach 30, I'm kind of going to be like shifting my spiritual practices and my imaginations and how I go about my artistic outlets and creativity. So yeah, Saturn. Yeah, Saturn is a big one. I would suggest really diving deep and understanding the Saturn return before you hit it. The next one will probably be, I think it's when you're around like 40 something to 50 range, I believe. I have to double check that. Don't quote me on that. But yes, Saturn return happens a few times in your lifetime. So really, really dive deep into the planet of structure for real. Uranus. Uranus is a planet of reflection. It's the progressive, future oriented growth planet. It is filled with intuition. It's mostly about change, freedom, rebellion, invention. Very innovative. Very, very innovative. There's a lot of sudden inspiration and like lightning insights, right? So this is how you express your eccentricity, right? This is the openness for all that is new, unknown, and unusual. 100%. And you want to know who rules this? Aquarius. Makes a lot of sense. Aquarius, they're very masculine and yang energy. They're very a huge progressive sign. They are fraternal and they are the water barrier. So this sign always gets confused with water sign because they're water bearers and their sign looks like water, but it's actually not. They are air signs. They're always a few steps ahead, by the way. Again, very progressive and they're very humanitarian. They're friendly people. They're intellectual, individualistic, assertive, independent, and detached. Again, they are very detached and they are always looking forward and they're always they're growth oriented, right? So they're always wanting to grow and always wanting to improve. Again, they're very assertive in the ways that they can be, and they can be idealistic. So Uranus, again, being ruled by Aquarius, it is a revolutionary planet that is always moving forward. It's always progressing, right? I believe that my Uranus is in Capricorn. Again, Capricorn are very, very. No way, is it? Is mine in Capricorn? Yes, mine is in Capricorn. And so with that being said, like it's all about like my experience of authority, right? And just kind of like how I'm transforming and like smashing out like outdated structures that I create for myself. So just getting rid of all of that. And yeah, so Uranus, it's really, really great. Really great. Let's talk about Neptune. Neptune is a planet of magic, imagination. It's the mystical side. It's full and filled with illusions, scandals, religion, and spirituality. Super sensory, just so you know. This planet is filled with pseudo realities, so false and unreal realities, right? It's about escapism, deception, and dreams and inspirations, just so you know. This planet is also associated with drugs, again, so pseudo realities, right? So drugs give you that euphoric, that escape from this reality, and most likely it's usually a false reality, right? When you're using drugs, or I wouldn't say false, I would more so say inspirational or a different illusion than what's actually presented on your day-to-day life. um the most obvious sign to rule this is Pisces, right? Pisces are very they're very imaginative. They have an expansive imagination. They always have one foot in reality and one foot in fantasy. Like, yeah, I guarantee you right now, almost every Pisces I know have done some type of hallucinogenic substance. Their imagination is off the wall, right? And then sometimes they're not realistic. I'm like, are you being real though? Like, come on. I love me some Pisces though. They're very helpful and compassionate. I'm gonna let you know that right now. They're huge daydreamers, very huge. Which is why me and them get along. Again, I'm a Cancer, so we're water signs. Pisces is a mutable water sign though, and they're very in their feminine and yin energy. They are, I believe, receptive as well for their energetic charge. Their symbol is a fish, so they have one fish swimming in one way and another fish swimming another way, right? So they, again, one foot in, one foot out kind of deal. The planet of magic, again, Pisces are very intuitive. They're like almost the most psychic sign in the zodiac calendar. I'm a Cancer, so I'm gonna give them their clout, right? But yes, so if you want to know what your Neptune falls in, definitely check it out. Again, mine is also in Capricorn, so Capricorn is ruling my Uranus and my Neptune. But see what yours falls in and see why you view your illusions and your imagination, your mystical side the way you do. Your sign will definitely help you figure that part out. Last but not least, we have our Pluto. Pluto is a planet of rebirth and how you transform. So, how to deal with power, right? Your personal and your non-personal. It's either with suffering from power of others or how you exercise it yourself. So, it's how we meet our demonic and magical energies, our transformation and our destruction, our death, our domination, our subconscious mind, right? This planet is ruled by Scorpio. We all have our love and hate with Scorpio as well. Scorpio is a fixed water sign. They are very feminine and they're in yang energy, right? So they're very passionate and intense, right? But they are healers. They have a heart of a lover and they just heal as well. They're deeply romantic and they're determined, very determined. They're masterful and they can be resourceful, which is also amazing. However, they have a fixed focus, right? They're psychological. Their symbol is a Scorpio or eagle, right? So if you think about the two, right, they're very extreme situations, right? Their Scorpio is very roaming around the earth, right? Freely on its own, and there's an eagle that flies alone by itself, and they're very intense and they're very what do you call it, they're very powerful. There we go, that's the word. They're very powerful. So thinking about rebirth and your transformation, it makes sense to why Scorpio is that ruler of that planet, right? My Pluto falls in Scorpio, so it's truly aligned with one another. And it's very intense, right? It could be very, very intense. Side note for me, I've had my extreme situation of experiencing death almost experiencing death, I would say, back in 2020, I believe. Yeah, in 2020. Um, I almost I almost lost my life, and that was the big learning curve, and the big shift in my life as to why I'm on the path that I am today now. I've always been someone who's very ambitious. However, because of that extreme experience that I've had, it actually also shifted my subconscious mind. And with that being said, Pluto must have been like doing its thing around that time, which is why I went through what I went through. Again, it's all about the transits and how these planets are moving and where they're at. Like these are constantly in rotation, they're constantly in retrograding, they're constantly in transit and moving, right? So being able to keep up with this, we're ultimately going through so many different changes throughout our lives and our day to day, right? So keeping up with astrology can be a lot. It really can be. However, once you get an understanding of your chart, where your signs fall, to what degree in the houses, that's going to help you so much. The next episode, I'm going to get into about the houses and what each house represents in the chart, right? I am not someone who is, you're not going to get all the information from me because I am still learning something new every day, every week, every month, every year. And I touch on the basics because the basics is what gets me going, and it gets me to dive deeper, and it helps me be able to spread the knowledge of what I know to be true at this moment, right? So this is the first episode. This is the ending of it. I hope that it gave you a lot of information and it wasn't too overwhelming. Just to give you a little insight, each planet description and the sign that I give you, they're about 3 minutes long. They're about, I would say, 2 to 5 minutes long each, depending on how deep I go into it about each one. But if you need to go back at any point in time, really utilize this, right? And do your own research and see where your planets fall for you. I'm curious. Please answer the poll. In the episode description, I'm going to go ahead and list a few sites and apps that you can use to keep up with your astrological journey. And I hope you find it as amusing as I do. Thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you soon.